Reframing Mindset podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day.
Okay, welcome back to Reframe Myself podcast. My name is Colin Brooks, and this episode is this episode is um yeah, record on a Sunday. Uh, I guess in this new phase, I guess that day may not become important because something interesting has changed. Bro. Yeah, so as I said, but the thing is, what this episode is about. So, boom, you're doing, so I'm doing this work now, and what you may realize, you're doing this work is that, when you're in the adult working world, it's like you see, there's you get lost, you can get lost in the sauce. What that means is that you have many, you're working, you're out here looking for a job. So boom, you leave school or whatever, you're out here looking for a job, and you finally get a job in a industry. Say, for example, you get a job in your industry that you wish you got into your industry, and it's like, oh yes, I've been in my industry and stuff. But there are many people. Then when you find yourself in your industry, you realize that, oh my God, there's another person doing the same thing that you're doing. Just like everything else, and it's like, yo. And what happens is that we because what maybe it's a good idea. It's a good idea, but the people want to do it, and what each one have their own quirks and things that makes it better. And but everybody in their own bubbles, they are doing their thing, and they feel they're the best, and nothing is wrong. But no, but what that creates is like there's a lot of the same things, but many little things that makes it different. And you're in the adult world, what that means is that boom, say you're in a certain country or in a certain part, where I'm from, in a certain city or area, and what happens is that you get lost in the sauce. So boom, you're out here in your nice little home, and you're in this, and what you don't realize is that, cause I'm speaking like going, you know, if I'm, coming up December, it would be like going to the 40 of the home ownership. And what you realize is that you're in this small box. And when you go out in the world, say, okay, say you got a license and you're out here driving around. And that's the thing, if you're driving around, if you're taking a taxi, I think it's kind of different than if you're driving. If you're driving, you see from a different angle, but you actually be transporting yourself to your own location. You're transport, but when you're taking a taxi, what happens is that, and you're in this adult world that I just explained to you previously, you get lost. You don't realize that, wow, there are many of the there, like, yeah, mansions are, in the real world. So boom, as I said, I was speaking of this in that the podcast I was started doing some a pandemic time. So now I say it's not really a pandemic time, but it's just that it's just that real life. So what happens that, so you see the normal movement of stuff. So what happens is that boom, you go to the world and you see all these people, old, young, everybody out here. and you get lost in the sauce again. You get lost in the sauce, and what happens is that comparison to the thief of joy, all these stuff becomes relevant. And so so basically what the episode is basically saying is that um one of the verses, love not the world and love not the world, so that verse, it's actually real when actually in the working world, because what happens is that when you're actually in the working world and going through this phase, the phase that I'm in now, you're so small in this big machinery that I'm at now, you know, and I'm sometimes I'm glad I'm so small in this big machinery, and sometimes it's kind of frustrating because what happens is that you're so small, and then boom, someone new comes in, and it's like, okay, they're maybe they are fighting you for, or maybe not fighting you, but it's just that I say you're a small cog in this big machinery, and you're out here trying to hold your spot. And sometimes when someone new comes in, it feels like you're not evil doing your part to hold your spot. And it's like, so what happened is that boom. So it's that, yeah. So basically, what um I'm saying is that in this weird working phase, so moving 27th year, um hopefully next month you'll be going into the 28th year. What happens is that you get lost in the sauce. So boom, I have this home. So what happens is that in the working world, and I spoke about frame of perspective. It's good to actually know that when you see all these mansions, cause we are work now in the city in the aviation industry, auto, you see people traveling and all these stuff, and the what is that you have hotels, big mansion, homes, and all these stuff, and what that um doing that, what happens that boom, you forgot the fact that, oh, I'm in the fourth year of this small little home that I built. And so what this episode is basically saying is that, many of the rambling is that sometimes you're in this industry, and this industry, for example, you're in the hotel industry, and the reason why I say in the adult world is that boom, you left you go to primary school to make like some friends, or, or whatever. They go to high school to make some friends and stuff like that, and you go to university level, you make some friends or associates or colleagues, and then boom, you left university in the adult world. And what I realized is that to to meet up back with most of those people, it don't happen overnight. So boom, you left university when you're 19 or 18 or 20 something. Most of them go on to do um, higher education or whatnot or stuff. And sometimes it's hard to actually meet them again because boom, some when you're in the university, sometimes some people support you when you come out of university. It's hard to get a work and all these stuff. So boom, fast forward to now you're out here, you have your work and stuff like that. You realize how small when you get your first job or second job or stuff like that, and then boom, you realize how small you are in this big machinery of the working world. You're so small, and and you're so small that you forget that some you're so small, and it took you so long just to reach that point that sometimes you even sometimes you realize you forget the days that you came from, and it's hard to remember. Readjust to reality, to the new reality, and if you get what I mean, in the se- in the sense that boom, you work hard, and boom, I'm out here speaking about the fourth year, almost the fourth year of home ownership, and I started this podcast and stuff to kind of clear my mind, and then boom, going on strong. Boom, got my first work. Well, I got some work before, but I got this new work, exciting and stuff like that. But now I'm doing this, I feel like, oh my God, I wonder if I'm doing it right or wrong, or not really doing it right or wrong. Sometimes it's hard to actually, because this is a big machinery of stuff. It's hard to really track your progress to see, okay, I'm on the right track or not, because there's so many things going on in this one little machinery, and it's like, and so many random stuff just happening to you that you don't even, you basically can't um keep, you don't realize if you're making a progress or not. That's why you need something like journaling, or no, not only that, you need like a frame of perspective. I speak about that, where you can always go back to it and say, yes, I could have been there. And what I realize is that every day you're alive or something like that, it's hard, that frame of perspective, or journal thing, it gets harder because you cannot tell. It's hard for you to tell if you're on the right track or not, because yes, it's the higher you go, the more it sometimes become, it feels like the more smaller you're getting. So it's like, it's good to have that frame of perspective to say, yeah, I could have been here. I'm the fourth year of this home ownership tanks, and science assistant happened. Me making it, and if I go into the fourth year, I would act and keep in this work. And that's the thing again about frame of perspective. You have to remember why you're keeping the work. So boom, you're out here in the working world and you're working with other people and stuff like that. And sometimes the working world people get you off your track. You forget the fact that you're out here working to support the home, to maintain the home. So certain things you forget. You're out here. You can use the work to do a lot of other stuff, but never forget the main thing is that you're out here working to become, to be better at your craft, become more marketable in the working world. The first thing. And then you're out here trying to maintain yourself, so the income is supposed to support you, and then eventually someone else, if they come into it and all these stuff. But you have to actually take your time, and never forget your reason why you're out here putting in the work, and such. But like I said, the main thing is that sometimes in this working world, boom, you're out here, you're getting older, and boom, you're out here working with people younger than you and all these stuff, and they're coming with new stuff, and it the thing is that uh lifestyle inflation. I spoke about that, the one of the first few episodes. I spoke about lifestyle inflation and stuff like that. You're working and doing this work and it's low paying. Is the basic essence of this episode is that you're seeing all these mansions and big hotels, and you're in this working world and stuff like that. It will make you for not appreciate the small little hut that you have. And that's the thing where sometimes you and that's the next thing now, where boom, you're working in this big industry, prestigious industry and stuff like that. Sometimes you don't appreciate the small people on the streets are stuff selling and stuff, and not realizing that boom, I've been working in this industry now. And when I learned about the industry, I realized that this industry has been around from the 1800s. So that means that it comes from very small beginnings, and now in 2024, more they're reaping a small part of that blessing and stuff like that. So the same thing again with someone on the streets, or it's this podcast now in 2024. Someone on the streets, the small beginnings can turn to some big things. and small begins can turn into some big things. And um, so sometimes you need to you see all the big mansion and stuff like that make the even though you see all these stuff never it it's good to see them, but it also it may make you not appreciate the small hut you have, and then there goes envy and all these stuff. So sometimes it's actually good for you to appreciate the little hut that you have and take your time and build it up until you out here become a big mansion instead of going out and seeing all this mansion and all this stuff and not like in the small little hut that you have. Cause that's the phase you're going to be in the I guess 27 year you're out here in the working world and all this stuff. You're out here. Cause boom, God's willing, going to the 28th year, I'll be start driving and all this stuff. And what will happen is that you'll be able to access all kind of different people more and more, and then that's where the frame of perspective thing, where I talk about, my grandmother, our boom, 90 years, and then eventually she found one person and she enjoyed that. Uh, well, that one person was way older than him, her, and then but she enjoyed. Well, she didn't enjoy. She hated. She hated every day of her marriage based on how she explained that stuff like that. No, but she found her person. What happened that due to her faith in God, I said, okay, I'm gonna do this marriage thing, and even though I hate it, I want my kids to be on better standing, so I will actually go through this terrible thing just to see heaven and go through it and spend those time. So what happened is that why this episode is important is that the higher you go, the more opportunities, the more if you're a man, female, everything you're out here seeing. And but God's willing, the older you get, you will I guess everything comes the test of time. I guess that's the thing where you have your goals that you want to achieve, but who will be there to stand the test of time? And that's the important thing, because what will happen is that boom, you'll never be this young again, because um oh my god, oh my god, bro, look at that ringing thing. This podcast thing is actually getting that. Oh my god, that is actually some profit thing, bro. I guess I'm rich, but I forgot about what I was saying. Um, yeah, boom. Who? Yeah, is who will stand the test of time, and boom, more opportunity comes, and it's like different. I guess different levels of opportunities. But the importance of this episode is to say frame of perspective in that boom, one of these phases that boom, I get this work, I try to do less partying as usual or stuff. Try to and the reason why I try to do that is because I'm trying to maximize my ability to maintain my home and build credit and all these stuff, so that if, for example, I want to do this stuff, I know that I always have a home to come home to. That's the important thing, where you always have the ability to say, I have a home to come home to. And that was the next thing again about my grandmother, was that she always traveled and to work. She never traveled to for that. She traveled for work to raise to do better for her children and stuff like that. But one of the things that she always said, that She always has her fear to come back home, and that was something she always had her fear to come back home. So that's the thing where you're in this phase now, you're out here working and all these stuff, seeing all these big mansion and all these stuff. It's good for you to one build up focus on getting your little hut or little home. But not only that, if everybody is out here building their small little hut or little home, what there'll be many little huts and little home. Just like if you're speaking about one podcast, there are many podcasts. One 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 certain industry. There are many of the same industry and stuff like that. But the thing is that who will stand the test of time? Um, and what do I mean by stand the test of time? Is that you nothing is wrong with everybody out here building their little huts. But I guess what nature, hurricane, all these stuff is that is Mother Nature choosing what will stand the test of time. So that's why when you're out in this thing, you never envy someone that's in or be in a better position than you because you don't know how things will turn. You see someone on the street, maybe he was high up one time and then now boom, he's down here low. But he's down there low, you never know what will turn in his how things will turn in his favor again. So boom, he'll be high up and all these stuff. So it's like those things you can never really tell. You can never really tell. So those are I said those are the thing. This episode was really important to me because going through this work and all those stuff, and then new people. I was a new person that came in, and then what happens that you come in, and then I said, you become established, and then what happens that every time, just like everybody else, eh, people challenge your position, and sometimes it makes you wonder if you actually work that position or not. And it's like, you're worth, you wonder if you're worthy of that position or not. And sometimes you have to be like, you know, it's good to have that frame of perspective to say, okay, because boom, I have the thing is that, for next example, I have a driving role in this work, but I do barely do driving and all those stuff. And one thing is that you people, it's good that I upgrade myself to do the ability to do the driving role, but I never. One thing is that you never forget the basics, and that's the thing where I talk about lifestyle inflation. I was one of my earliest episodes where I talk about lifestyle inflation. I know it's coming in again. And the thing is that never forget the basics. And the same thing again, I spoke about the basic essential water, food, shelter, clothing. This relates to this episode again, where I'm seeing all these people, all these so I'm working in this nice industry. See all these different kind of women, all these stuff. Some may like, some may not like, and all these things. But it's you have to appreciate one, and sometimes the one is not the one that you think it, it is, and that's the rare for you. Just like this whole going to its 4 years, that it wasn't it the third it wasn't this in the first year. So people look at it now and it's like, oh my god, it's so beautiful and all these stuff. It wasn't like this before. So just like everything else, you come in and seeing the glory days and all those stuff, but you never see the humble beginnings. And then you forget the you get lost in the sauce. So it's always good to say, okay, appreciate your little hut because one day your little hut will become a mansion and all those stuff. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So that basically it for this episode. It'll be like it's good for you to actually appreciate the little hut that you have because if you take time build on it, it will become it may become a mansion, just like everything else. With sometimes you're going into the work and people's talking about, oh my god, bro, how you gonna have no child yet and all these stuff. And one thing my grandma always told me, and it becomes relevant today, is that it's good to get your things out of those things out of your head. And why is because I am looking at my situations now, and boom, what if I have a child? you know, that same situation that I go through, I may actually go through it. So it's like, may actually go through it. So sometimes it'll be like the test of time, you know, things will come in its time. In the 4th year of this home, doing this work, I unlock the ability to get a new home, you know. So I said, when the time comes, the woman will, the right person will come. And sometimes, ideally, what I may realize that maybe it's not even the right person, the person that I think I would actually think. But it's just like, it's just one of those things where be like, yeah, mm, yeah, it is that it's good. The basic thing for this episode is that love not the world. I forget the whole verse, but I'm gonna look for it. Love not the world. I'm gonna tell you. So it verses. Love not the world, neither are the things that are in the world. 'Cause any man love the world, the love the Father is not in him. Yeah, yeah. This is right. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, is not the Father but of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he doeth the will of God abideth forever. So, why this verse relates to this episode is that you when you're out here in this working world, you're seeing all these things. Just like if you go to school, everybody want to go to the best school and all these stuff. Appreciate your small beginnings because what will happen is that when you get your big break, everybody gonna be like, oh my god, you came from this little place, I know these stuff and all these things. And what will happen is that those things get to your head. When those things get to your head, when it get to your head, you get lost in the sauce again. When you get lost in the sauce again, then where you get messed up and flop and all these stuff. And it's good to have the frame of perspective to say, okay, yes, and I'm doing great and all this stuff and all these things, but I could have been here. I could have been here. And it's always good to have that frame of perspective to say, okay, I could have been here, so I do not have time or stuff to envy a person or hate or stuff like that a person. Cause what I could have been there. I sometimes you never know. I may have been there before. or I may be there again. That's the thing. I may be there again, and when I'm there again, if you don't remember those times, you won't have those things to go back to reference and say, okay, yeah, I could have been there. And I know I was there. So now that I was there, I'm smarter now. Yeah, so yeah, that's basically it for this episode. Where be like, yeah, that's basically the main message. Where be like, yo, you could have been there, or don't judge, or don't out here go envy in a person's position. It's just not your time yet. Appreciate your little hut, and one day water it and everything, and one day it'll hut me become a mansion. Everything come in time. Who would have thought that I reached this far? Some who would have thought that I would reach this far? And I'm still here. So I have to appreciate that. And what happens is that sometimes I'm at the work, and it's hard for people to really realize so how much even though it's not the best position, how much I appreciate the fact that I'm there. And sometimes it's hard to actually people actually realize to say, yo, dog, they truly did not know where I was coming from. People truly did not. So sometimes, this work will be trash to many people and stuff like that. But bro, it's like sometimes a blessing. It's a blessing for me, given where I'm coming from. Sometimes, and it's like, and I say that with the fact that I have a nice family, I have some supportive family and all this stuff. But with everything, you have to actually find a way to progress yourself. And sometimes those positions that you're at, it may seem very low to many people. Be like, oh my god, you do a university degree, but you're doing this. But bro, appreciate your small beginnings. Appreciate your small beginnings and stuff. And it's good. I said, I speak about have your own goals outside the work. Put in the work and stuff like that. But have appreciate your small beginnings and don't look down don't at any work. I don't I say everything is in time. Everything because boom, you're out here in your home and you're out here unclogging toilets and stuff like that. There are people that actually pay to actually do the stuff, plumbing and all these things. Farming in the backyard, people pay to buy stuff. So every work is just everything you're doing for yourself. It can also so it's like over time, certain things that people look down on will just become common things, and it's like you just upgrade to it. Just like boom, your days when well, I'm still days when I'm out here taking taxi. But you never know one day I'll be out here driving and all those stuff, driving normally and be like, oh my god. Remember the days, bro, when I'm out here taking so many taxis, bro, just to reach home, losing all my phone, groceries and all these stuff, just to reach home and feeling so sad, bro. But now I'm driving home, driving myself home. I will be that person to be like, oh my god, I'm crying, you know, in this small car that I rent. I'm crying, bro. Yeah, because I feel so sad, but I have to keep going. But I feel so sad, bro. But I have to keep going. But one of those persons be like, oh my god, I'm crying in my Ferrari, bro. Or I'm crying, yeah, I can be one of those persons, bro. But at the same time, with never, you never forget that I spoke about it in one of my previous episodes. Is that um, certain levels will have you miss certain the levels that you were at before. I spoke about that in one of the episodes, and then one of the next thing is that I speak about it was that never I don't remember episode. Never forget that the lessons that you were taught when you were poor, the poor lessons. even though you're getting richer, never forget the lessons when you were poor, because you never know when you'll go back to that poor stage. And what happens is that if you have the lessons from that poor stage, you will not stay at that poor stage as long as you would be. You will not stay as long at that poor stage eh, as long as before. You would actually be like, oh my god, I've experienced this before, and how I came off of this and stuff like that. So never neglect the lessons of the poor days, because you never know when those things will come again. Just like hurricane, I survived this one, the next one will come if I don't. If I forget the lessons or the things that went bad. Speaking about that, I have to write down some stuff about this hurricane that went bad. you, to prepare for the next 2025 one, because what happens is that I'm reaching a point where I'm still experiencing small rains and stuff like that, but no hurricane thing like that, and then boom, hurricane season is kind of going down. So if I come into 2025, there'll be less likely for hurricane or stuff like that. But at the same time, people talking about climate change and all this stuff, hurricane can become more frequent. And my little hut, I would have to find a way to make sure my little hut is more sturdier and all those stuff. So yeah, so it's good to actually have these things in mind to be like, oh my god, I could have been here, or never neglect the lessons of the poor days, because when you're richer, you never know when you're going to go back to a certain level. And if you forget the lessons of that certain level, you may get lost in the sauce at this higher level. So that's basically it for this episode. Thank you for listening, and look forward for the next episode.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.